Coming up, new polls have a lot to say about how Hawkeyes feel regarding the impeachment inquiry. And later, investigations into the death of Jeffrey Epstein are officially underway.
The Iowa football team achieved something they have not done all season long.
And one basketball player is taking her game to new heights later in sports.
If you don't count today, there's only 2 days until break and 1 week until Thanksgiving, but who's counting? Definitely not me. Stay tuned to find out if weather will be in our favor for the rest of the week.
All that and more coming up on this Wednesday morning edition of DITV News. Don't go anywhere, DITV starts right now. Good morning and thank you for tuning in. I'm Emily Callahan. According to a November Hawkeye poll conducted by the University of Iowa faculty and students, most Iowans oppose the impeachment inquiry into President Donald Trump. 53% of surveyed Iowans say they oppose the inquiry and 44.8% approve. Republicans and Democrats were almost uniform in their responses, while independents were divided. In comparison with a November 19th national poll from 538, nearly 48% of Americans support the current impeachment inquiry proceedings and 45% oppose. The Hawkeye poll's results show more Iowans oppose the impeachment inquiry than the rest of the country. Well, it's been pretty nice out lately, so let's hope that continues, but Melissa has more for us in the weather studio.
Thanks, Emily. Before we take a look at the weather in Iowa City, let's talk about this year's hurricane season. This year, the development of Tropical Storm Sebastian in the Atlantic Ocean on Tuesday brings us to a total of 18 named storms this year, and it's the highest it's been since 2012. And while it may seem a little bit odd for a tropical storm to be developing this late into the season, it's not that uncommon. We only have about one every 3 years in the Atlantic Ocean. Now let's take this wave right back to Iowa City. Today's high will be 54 degrees with partly cloudy skies and winds around 15 miles per hour. As we head into tonight, the temperature will drop to 48 degrees and there will be a 100% chance of rain. Now let's take a look at the extended forecast. Tomorrow's high will be 56 degrees with a low of 27 and a 70% chance of rain. On Friday, it will be partly cloudy with a high of 37. Heading into this weekend, on Saturday, it will be sunny with a high in the low 40s. And on Sunday, it will be sunny with a high in the upper 40s. And then next week on Monday, it will be partly cloudy with a high in the upper 40s and a 40% chance of rain in the evening. Looks like the weather is probably going to hold out for us heading into break. Emily, back to you.
Thanks, Melissa. The Johnson County Sheriff's Department has released more information involving the missing student who is believed to have jumped into the Iowa River. It was announced that David Lay, the suspected victim, has not been seen or heard from since November 13th. The Sheriff's Office also noted that within the belongings discovered near the Iowa Avenue Bridge was a note indicating possible suicidal tendencies. A body has yet to be found, but authorities are looking into using sonar technology to scan the river. If you have any information about Lay, please contact the Joint Emergency Communications Center. The first 2 men have been charged in Jeffrey Epstein's death investigation. Prison guards Tova Noel and Michael Thomas were indicted after security camera footage revealed that they did not conduct regular 30-minute checkups on Epstein on the day of his death. Noel and Thomas falsified prison records, claiming they had been checking on him regularly. The 2 were charged with 1 count of conspiring to defraud the United States and multiple counts of falsifying records. The indictment also revealed that no one entered Epstein's wing between the time he was last checked on and the time his body was discovered. During the trial, the Federal Bureau of Prisons Director Kathleen Hawk Sawyer explained why Epstein was not on suicide watch at the time of his death.
Was Mr. Epstein on suicide watch?
Yes, he was. However, the average time on suicide watch is only about 24 hours because it is such a stark and actually depressing situation. We then can move them to another tier of observation, which is called psychological observation.
While testifying, Sawyer announced that the FBI has begun investigating whether or not a, quote, criminal enterprise could have been involved. Check back for more updates as the investigation continues. But I think that we're still not quite over the Minnesota win on Saturday, so let's hear more about that in the sports studio.
In the first time in what seems like forever, the Iowa football team was able to close out a close game and get a win against a ranked opponent.
DITV director Jonathan Rawson has more on how the Hawks were able to break the mold against the Golden Gophers.
When Minnesota got the ball back, down by 4 with under 2 to play, Iowa fans got deja vu, and not the good kind. This time, A.J. Epinesa and the Hawkeye defense had an alternate ending in mind.
It's just we practice for moments like this. I was telling the D-line before we headed out on the field, and it's on us. It's on the defense, and this is what we want. We want it on our shoulders. We're confident in our ability. We prepared for this. This is what we do. This is a big-time moment, and we're big-time players, and we're here to make plays.
And thanks to that stellar final defensive drive, the Hawkeyes were able to bring Floyd to the locker room, even though he was a little heavier than they thought.
One of our guys did a report on that, and reported weight of the Floyd is 100 pounds. I think Tristan Orse would dispute that. He was claiming it's a little bit heavier. He was the guy who brought it in. So great to have Floyd in the locker room with us and pictures and all those kinds of things. So just all in all, really happy for our players and very, very proud of what they did tonight.
But with how rocky this season has been, this one means a little bit more to Coach Ferentz.
As high as those highs are, the lows can be really low too. And but you know, to be out there when the clock's running down in Kinnick Stadium, that's a pretty good feeling. So I'm just happy this team, this 19 team, got to experience one of those.
The 2019 team will take the field at Kinnick for the final time on Saturday when they host the Fighting Illini for Senior Day. Reporting from Kinnick Stadium, John Ross, DITV Sports.
Like John said, Saturday will be senior day for the Hawks, and you can expect it to be an emotional one.
Now, while one season is ending, another one is just beginning.
That's right, Tanner. Although it is early in the Hawkeye women's basketball season, some players are standing out. One player in particular is making her mark early. The Hawkeyes are 2-1 so far this season, and going forward, it is clear sophomore center Monica Sonano has a major role in the team. Monica Sonano has had to step in and be the Hawkeye enforcer on both sides of the basketball. On offense, she's doing it efficiently, and on defense, she's really making her presence felt. Even though she's starting the season good individually, her mind is still on one thing.
I'm going to be honest, I don't really think about that at all. Like, it's just looking at the score, the total score, and just seeing, like, what we can do as a team, how I can contribute, and it's just we all want to win. So it's doing whatever it takes to win.
Averaging around 13 points on over 84% shooting along with 4 rebounds, it is clear that the work put in over the summer is paying off.
I'm just so proud of Monica for really seizing the moment, and she's one of the hardest workers that I've experienced, just like Megan was. So she has so much potential, so I'm just really proud of her and excited that she got to show people what she can do too.
We may only be 3 games in right now, but you should look forward to seeing lots of Monica Sonano this season. Iowa will look for Sonano to stay consistent tonight when they match up against the Princeton Tigers.
And sticking with women's sports in Carver, the Iowa volleyball team season is nearing the end, and there's been a lot of ups and downs for this team.
But with more on their season, we have DITV reporter Maddie McCarron live in the newsroom to tell us more. Maddie, can you talk about Iowa's close game on Saturday against the Huskers?
Yeah, Dallas. They almost had this one. They took the Huskers to 5 sets. And even in the first set, Iowa was up by 7 points, but ended up handing the set back to Nebraska. And what I think made the biggest difference was that they switched up their lineup to run a 6-2 with freshmen Emma Lowe's and Courtney Bizzario both setting. This allowed Bizzario to also take more swings to tally up some points for the Hawks. Actually, Bizzario hit her first career triple-double in that game. This is the first Hawkeye in the volleyball program to hit that mark since 2005.
With there only being a few games left, what's on the horizon for the team?
They'll actually travel to Wisconsin this weekend and also Minnesota, and their last 2 home games will be next week against Maryland and Ohio State.
Thanks, Maddie. The Hawks aren't likely to make the NCAA tournament this year, but they have a lot of young talent to be on the lookout for next season.
Well, that is all we have for you in the sports studio today.
But tune in tomorrow to hear from Iowa football as they prepare for their last home game of the season.
Emily, back to you at the desk.
That's all we have for you on this Wednesday morning edition of DITV News. Be sure to head over to dailyiowan.com for all your latest news between Monday and Friday. If that isn't enough, the Daily Iowan for you, be sure to check out our print edition of the news on stands now. I'm Emily Callahan. Have a great day, Iowa City.